Hello. Hi. I'm Brittany with Bimbo Bookshelf. I decided to make a video today with the hashtag BookTube Newbie Tag. Tag. How many times am I going to say it? um, because I am a BookTube newbie. If you go to my channel's page, you'll notice that there are some other videos currently up there. That's because I have been doing a part-time literary podcast with my friend Sophia, mostly just to get together with her and yap about the books we've been reading and our philosophies on life and all the things we feel like yapping about. I decided to make a hop over to BookTube because I really love it. I'm just going to jump into the questions and hope that you enjoy. Thanks for being here. So, the first question is, why did I start this channel? The reason is because I have been doing Bookstagram for about 3 years now, um, and the book podcast with my friend, which is very inconsistent, but mainly because our schedules are so different and chaotic that we really don't have the time to get together and do it. Also, I don't really know how to edit audio, and I think it sounds like shit a lot of the times. So I decided to try BookTube because, well, one, I love it. I'm on BookTube all of the time. It is a background to a lot of my day. It is something to watch in my leisure time. It's something that I just really enjoy, and I've been contemplating it for a long time. So just do it, they say, even though it's terrifying to be looking at myself making this video right now. For what reason? I couldn't tell you. Doing Bookstagram, I realized you have to focus more on short form content, which obviously, because of the nature of the app, but I really am not inspired to make short form content, to make posts or small reels, because I feel like they're not truly adequate to discuss what I actually want to, which is the content of the books that I'm enjoying, to be able to meet other people that like the books that I like, that are into the same themes, that want to talk about this kind of books. And I've tried a bunch of different platforms. When I first started Bimbo Bookshelf, we tried to meet together on Discord, and I just hate typing. I learned that about myself very quickly, which makes sense if you've ever tried to text me and get a text back, or you've ever sent me a DM and waited a response. I'm really sorry. But it just, it doesn't compute with my way of conversating. I don't want to do this. So yapping it is. And YouTube really provides an outlet for yapping. And the podcast did too, but it really is hard to get together with my friend and to sit down and edit the audio afterwards. And I always thought that video content would be a little bit harder to edit, but there's so many ways to do it on your phone accessibly that I just couldn't figure out with the audio. And really, podcasting, which is really cool, and I'm glad that I have had the experience doing it, and we do still plan on doing it. It's just not a full-time thing. BookTube allows for me to have more of a communication with people, to be able to connect with people that are also communicating with these books. And I feel like it's more of a community than a podcast, where the similarities are that I can talk long form and discuss these books, but I believe there's more room for connection in BookTube than there is in podcasting. So, oh my gosh, did you see that shadow? I think there's a ghost in here. I thought I was seeing things the first time I saw it, but oh, it's probably a car driving by. Anyways, next question. What fun or unique thing will my channel bring? Well, time will tell, I guess. But I do think that everyone that reads has a unique perspective on what they read, and that's kind of the fun of discussing books with people, is that you and your friend, or you and your long distance book club pal, could be reading the same book and get different things out of it, or there is a line that might stand out to you that really resonates in some sort of way that you can communicate this passion about life that maybe they didn't get out of it, and vice versa. And you can really just empathize with different human beings on different levels with discussing books. And I hope that I'll be able to find my crowd of people that wants to talk about the same kind of books, but offers me new perspectives on them and discussions on them that I can get more out of the books that I'm reading. I don't know. I guess I was a homeschooled kid growing up. I also grew up Jehovah's Witness, which some people know a lot about. Some people have a lot of questions about, but very sheltered upbringing. And I've learned about the world, and I've learned about myself and others through books my entire life. And I just have a real deep connection with literature and discussing literature with other people, which I guess kind of answers the next question is, why do you love reading? What I love about reading. And I really think that it just helps me find my place in the world. It helps me feel like I'm constantly developing my mind and growing with intention. And sometimes it's not just that. Sometimes it's just that I want to escape into another world, and I can do that through books too. I can be entertained, I can learn, I can empathize with others, I can get a good cry out. There's just so much that reading does to enrich my life that I don't ever want to stop talking about it. And the problem is that's carried over into my life with people that maybe don't want to hear it anymore. I recently got lunch with my sister after I hadn't seen her really in a couple months. And I talked about Carl Jung and the Red Book for about 45 minutes. And she was so gracious to just sit there and listen. She really was. But she didn't necessarily want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? My cat is terrorizing the window behind me. And this is, yeah, he's going to knock it over. Wow. Please come say hello. He's coming. He's coming. He's here. No hole on YouTube. You're going to get us banned. Okay, next question. I have paper because I can't remember these questions. I have to have notes. But I do think that books have helped me be able to foster a sense of identity and community in the world. And I'm never going to let that go. I'm never going to want to stop talking about it. So I'm constantly looking for new ways to do so and to connect with people that also want to talk about it. I think I've said that like 6 times. But anyways, okay, so next question. What book or series got you into reading? Well, that's complicated because it depends on what time in life that I answer that question. As a kid, I remember getting a Junie B. Jones book that set my world on fire. Which one it was, I don't remember because I consumed all of them as quickly as I could. I couldn't wait to have time to sit down and figure out what Junie B was up to. And boy, was she up to stuff. But I really felt like a connection with that character at a very young age because she was just wild and always getting into trouble. And I felt like, hey, I'm not the only one like that. There's others out there. There's so much others that they're writing books about it. How cool is that? And it really just made me crave reading more. When I was a preteen, I really got into Harry Potter. As a teenager, I got into Lord of the Rings, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And then when I became an adult, I kind of fell off of reading. I have my kids kind of young, and I really just wrapped my whole world up into that, and then wrapped myself into trying to find my place in the world, and reading took a back seat. And then so many years went by where I couldn't pick up books that I liked anymore because my taste had changed, but I hadn't realized that. And every now and then I would pick up another fantasy book or sci-fi book that I thought would be along the lines of something that I had read and enjoyed before. And I would just be bored and I couldn't get into it and I wanted to put it down. And I convinced myself that I just was no longer a reader, that it was something that I outgrew. And then fast forward a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, my friend Sophia that I do the podcast with, shout out Sophia, gave me a copy of Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. And I know that there is probably, especially on BookTube, a lot of opinions on that book. Some people think that it's like elementary philosophy for babies, and maybe it is, but that was exactly what I needed at the time. I could not put that book down. I consumed it so fast, and then it just led down this pathway of, oh, this is what I want to read about now. These are the kind of books that interest me now. And I really loved talking to her about it. So I decided that I was going to start a book club, that I was going to hold myself accountable to reading. And that's where Bimbo Bookshelf came from. A lot of people I've found now over the years are a little confused by and turned off by the name, which I totally understand because there's a lot of connotation behind there. But one night, I just on a whim was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to start a club where I talk about books. And if I get ahead of them with the name and let them know that I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, maybe no one will pick on me or make fun of me or feel like I'm reading because like elementary philosophy or things below my age range or reading group, because I was seriously concerned with that at the time. Unfortunately, it's embarrassing to say, but I do think that we all, well, a lot of us get in our head about what how other people are perceiving us, especially when we put ourselves out on the internet. So that's what got me into reading as a kid, and that's how the bookshelf started and why I'm here now. I guess that got longer than I wanted to. Okay. Next question is booktubers I like / what would I ask them? I don't know that I have any direct questions for anyone, but I will say that I am obsessed with a lot of booktubers. Um, I follow quite a few, but the ones that have inspired me the most to make a channel, I think I will mention their names because they're the ones that really have I've been watching religiously and they all have videos or a personality of some type that kind of is encouraging to have other people do the same sort of thing. And I really appreciate and value that. The first one I've been really into lately is Strange Lucidity. And I'll link all of these in the description. I want to figure out a way to edit and put them here or here or here. Or maybe I won't, and this will just be a video of me pointing at random things around the room. Another one is Colossum Books. I've really been into the books that they've been reading, and I've gotten a lot of good recommendations of books that I've picked up from that channel. One of my favorites is Robert G., Reader of Books. Robert just has a way of talking about history and theology in a way that just enraptures me, and I can't get enough. And every time I see that he's put out a new video, I'm like, stop what I'm doing. Robert G is on. My boyfriend knows about Robert G. Everybody knows about Robert G. Love Robert G. Another one that I like is Anise Law. I think that I'm saying that right. I hope that I am. Apologies if I'm not. Lady of the Library is a big one that I also love. But there's just so many that it's hard to name them all. Maybe I'll make a bigger comprehensive list and put them in the description of people that I like. But I guess if I were to ask a question, it wouldn't be directly to any of them in particular, but just to anyone that has been doing this for a long time, I'm curious about what type of videos are their favorite to make, because I know that in order for me to keep up with this, I'm going to have to enjoy it to some degree, because I learned with doing Bookstagram that when I'm no longer enjoying it, I tap out. I don't want to make little posts with little slides. I don't want to go on Canva and make things look cute. I don't want to worry about the algorithm. Honestly, I don't even want anyone watching me, so I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm done with that page. Next question. What does my bookshelf look like? Now, if you're watching this, you're like, right there, that's what her bookshelf looks like. And that wouldn't be incorrect, but that is, that's a work bookshelf. I have another side project, Bone Bridge Books. You can go there if you want to and help me pay my bills, because right now it doesn't help me at all. But I have a passion for hunting for books, for looking for books, for discovering and saving books that need a little love to be brought back to life. And I created a used bookstore online last year as kind of a pet project in a way, like an extra source of income, which really hasn't been yet. But anyway, these books are for that, for Bone Bridge books. My personal bookshelf is the floor. Oh, this is so embarrassing. I'll add pictures. There's stacks everywhere around my house. I'm hoping now that I can just edit in pictures because I'm leaving space for it, leaning out of the way. I don't know what I'm doing with my body, please. Ooh, we should start an tally. When I edit this, I'll see how many times I said that. It'll be embarrassing. But I don't actually have a bookshelf for my personal books. I just bought these on Marketplace because I feel like if you're going to sell people books, you can't just have them laying all over the floor all the time. But my own books, except for the ones that I like really have to protect that I have up on top of a shelf, they're kind of just spread throughout my house. Okay, next question. So, what genres will and won't I be reading here? So that's hard for me to say because I am into a lot of different genres and it kind of depends on my mood. And lately, I've been really into reading classics. I really like history. I'm really into nonfiction mainly, but I do like to escape into some fiction when I find a book that really captures my attention. In fact, I'm reading Never Let Me Go I'm audiobook listening to Never Let Me Go right now. And I'm really enjoying it, but mainly I am really into classic literature, history, essays, theology, maybe not religious texts perhaps, but historic theology, trying to understand different religions, psychology. I'm a big Carl Jung fan. It might be a hyper obsession in the last year. It's kind of taken off. I got a copy of the Red Book for my birthday last year, and it has just spiraled into an obsession. I also like philosophy, sociology, mythology, myths. We're going to talk about myths. We're going to talk about mythology so much here. It's going to be so great. Really into poetry. One thing that I really, really, really love about my local community is that there are incredible writers here, incredible writers. And there's some publishers here too. If you're not familiar with CityBusPrint, it's based in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where I'm at. And they constantly publishing poetry chapbooks and hosting events. And there's a real community around reading and writing where I live. And I'll be talking about that a lot too. I definitely want to feature some local authors and writers that I admire and some of their chapbooks and books that I've picked up and read, and maybe even have them on sometime. That would be really cool. I have a podcast episode with a friend of mine that recently released a poetry book. Actually, that was last year. I guess that's not recent. It's kind of recent. I don't know. Anyways, so the second part of that question is, what won't I be reading? So I try really hard to actually keep an open mind about reading what kind of books that I read. So even if something isn't my style, sometimes I'll give it a try because I've been surprised before in the past. There's been books that I otherwise wouldn't have picked up that a friend has been like, you gotta read this, you have to. And then I'm like, oh my God, you're right. What was I doing before? But with that being said, typically the books I don't read are romance, not a whole lot of fantasy, thriller. It's not likely you'll see me reading true crime. It makes me feel very sad. And I have actually a lot of thoughts about true crime writing that I'm not going to get into at this time, but maybe I'll make another video about that. The next question is, what do I want to see less of on BookTube? And I feel like this is almost kind of like a bait question. And that's actually some of what I want to see less of on BookTube. I feel like there is a sliver of like a bullying community on BookTube that really just kind of makes my stomach sick. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of fucking opinions on romantasy and smut and books that aren't progressing you in some kind of way. And I just think that that's nonsensical, and everyone has a right to enjoy what they enjoy. And I think that no matter what you're reading, you're getting something out of it. It's adding value to your life. Reading is not a bad thing unless you're reading like Jordan Peterson or I don't know. But I think that while it is good to have critical analysis of books, and I definitely plan on having some critical analysis videos where we talk about how the demographic of the publishing industry has really changed over the last couple of years, and the quality of books is maybe not the greatest, and the industry is taking a shift, but that's a whole other subject. My direct question was, what do I want to see less of? And it's people creating content just for like bait and anger and just judgment on people that read those types of books, when I think it should be more directed at the publishing houses and the industry at large itself. So maybe that would be my answer, because I do feel like that level of judgment and bullying takes away from genuine critical analysis about the actual root of the problems that people have in their opinions of those books or categories that they hate and that they don't like. Also, the push for overconsumption and aesthetics and the vibe, whatever it is, because that does not just lie in the romantasy world. I feel like every pocket has some sort of push for like a vibe or an aesthetic or new books that you have to own or products that you have to have or a vibe that you have to have, and it just makes me want to fucking gag, honestly. Anyways, so the next question, this is going to be my last question. This wasn't from the hashtag BookTube Newbie Tag. This was just from people, a question that I've gotten a lot since I started Bimbo Bookshelf. And a question that I get from friends and family sometimes is, how do you find what you want to read next? Or how do you find books that just draw you out? And I think that that is a really loaded question that I can't fully answer, but I want to take a try at, because I think that it comes down to really getting to know yourself and to trying a lot of different things, to not having judgment in certain type of books. And a huge one for me is to not think that a book is too smart for you, or to not think that a book is too big for you or something that you can't tackle or take on, because I have been so surprised. The name came from really kind of feeling self-conscious about not fully being like educated enough to be able to talk about the books that I wanted to. And it really is more of like a draw for inclusion of all reading comprehension levels, to just try what's out there, to pick up a book that you think is interesting, no matter what you think. If it's too big, if there's words you don't know. There are so many times that I'm reading a book, even right now, I'm reading Wuthering Heights for the first time, and I have stopped so many times to Google words that I don't understand. And I have gotten so much out of that. But I do feel like you can sometimes not do that and still enjoy the book, even if it has that in it. And just to not be overwhelmed by feeling like you have to love a book. I don't know. Anyway, so this was my hashtag BookTube Newbie. I hope to be making some more videos soon. Okay, bye.